a clown theater performance artist and an interfaith minister. And so I'd be in the interfaith minister world, and people would be like, you do costume weddings. You're not a legitimate minister, which is not true. I'm a legal clergy person, although I'm not a member of any faith because I'm an interfaith person. And on the other side, I'd be in the art world, and people would be like, you make therapy art. Everything you do makes people feel better. And then I think, well, I realize that I have to stop trying to validate myself through other people's hierarchies and systems and just create my own space. And so the House of Holy Humour is a secular congregation for the humor arts. The pillars are art and love and humor. These are the things that bring humans back to connection with themselves and each other. And this is a space where it all fits. I'm the interfaith minister. I'm the clown theater performance artist. It's funny, it's serious, it's all happening, and you're invited.
Hello everybody, welcome to Be You with Suzanne Paul. Get your sexy back. Today I am really excited to be interviewing the jester of the piece, all the way directly from New York via Florida to London, my very good friend Barbara Ann Michaels. Hello Barbara.
Hello Suzanne, I love being with you, including right now.
Likewise. And she is the jester of the piece because let me tell you, Barbara is one of the funniest people that I know. And that is why she is here as an inspiring and interesting woman.
Well, you know, humor is one of the, if not the most underappreciated, powerful forces of love and connection in the world.
Tell us more about that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Talk.
So,
please.
Yeah, humor is the harbinger of healing. What do people do? They go, when one has laughed, to the degree of the height of laughter, one is also crying. Laugh, 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 into tears. Oh God, I laughed till I cried. And it's the same on the other side. When people are in their greatest despair, it's cry, 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 cry. And someone knows they're going to pop out or see the sun for the first time, or even jump into a different layer of healing when the laughter comes. It's not that the original situation ever becomes funny, but unless we laugh with it, whatever it was owns us emotionally, and laughter is the sign that freedom is beginning.
Interesting. And you have a big project about this.
I do. Yeah, my project is the House of Holy Humour. So I'm a clown theater performance artist and an interfaith minister. And so I'd be in the interfaith minister world, and people would be like, you do costume weddings. You're not a legitimate minister, which is not true. I'm a legal clergy person, although I'm not a member of any faith because I'm an interfaith person. And on the other side, I'd be in the art world, and people would be like, you make therapy art. Everything you do makes people feel better. And then I think, well, I realize that I have to stop trying to validate myself through other people's hierarchies and systems and just create my own space. And so the House of Holy Humour is a secular congregation for the humor arts. The pillars are art and love and humor. These are the things that bring humans back to connection with themselves and each other. And this is a space where it all fits. I'm the interfaith minister. I'm the clown theater performance artist. It's funny, it's serious, it's all happening, and you're invited.
Wow. How did you come up with this? This amazing combination of eclectic and random things, really.
So one of my superpowers in the world is taking things that apparently do not go together and finding their meeting place. And so it might look like clown theater performance artist, right? Clown theater performance artist and interfaith minister might not go together, except what is clown theater really about? So in the United States, where I happen to be sitting at this moment, people have the idea, or it's commonly held, that a clown is a birthday party performer. And that's not true. I mean, it is true. People who practice the clown theater art form do perform at birthday parties. However, the art form truly is about taking all of the mishaps, all of the times we try to look, all of the things that go wrong, and having a laugh with them so that we can get that cathartic release of either laughter or tears. It's actually the most vulnerable, transformative art form I know. which is why I love it so much, because I love transformation, I love laughter, I love healing, I love the whole thing. And so when I look at that and I look at what are spiritual practices generally for, they're for regulating life, they're for returning to presence, they're for at their highest, in their highest form, therefore how does one live well with oneself and each other? That's what spiritual practices are for in their highest form. Clown theater is for the exact same thing. So while it might look on the surface like these two things have nothing in common with each other, in truth, they have a ton in common with each other. And I can say, which sounds like a controversial statement unless it's in the context that I just shared, clown theater is my spiritual practice, which makes no sense unless we also provide this understanding that they're really very much the same thing.
For you, like I can honestly say, I wouldn't have put clown theatre and interfaith ministry together as the same thing. No, but because it's you, Barbara, I do accept.
Thank you for holding me with such wide love and acceptance, darling.
I'm like, I genuinely would not have put those two things together.
Right. Well, I mean, most people wouldn't. However, they really do go to the same heart of the same thing.
Well, I think this is, in a way, I do really understand what you're saying, because, you know, quite so much of my message is about sex and money going together, and people are like, you know, apart from the obvious, people are like, how does that work? And I'm like, well, energetically, they are very interconnected with each other and they vibrate at the same frequency. People look at me like I'm bonkers. And then I go into the physics of it and it starts to make a bit more sense. So I do understand that the notion of humor does bring us back to ourselves. Like, you do have to, it is a grounding experience, as you're saying, and kind of like, I appreciate what you're saying about you laugh until you cry, and then you might cry until you laugh, and the crying until you laugh is a transformation of the experience of the crying, and the laughing until you cry is because you've laughed so hard, you've transformed the emotion of that moment. So yes. And that is a spiritual experience. It is.
Yeah, going from one emotional state to the other. So things feel transformative. At the best clown show, someone laughs genuinely and they cry genuinely from the audience, and then it feels transformative. So if an experience of a performance has one emotional tone, like, oh, that was so funny, great, it was funny, or oh gosh, that was so devastating, I cried through the whole thing. That's great, that's meaningful. Both of those are impactful experiences, but for it to feel truly transformational, we're going to pass through both. We're going to pass through laughter and tears. And the same is true at a really moving spiritual experience. The same is true at a wedding. The same is true at anything that's truly transformational. It's going to take us through more than one emotional plane.
That actually, particularly when you say a wedding, as an observer, not having been through my own wedding yet, there's always time. I don't plan on it, but there's always time. The moment at which the couple that I'm observing getting married actually state that they are now husband and, well, you know, I mean, husband, wife, husband, I don't care. That is a moment when something that wasn't is now, which is yes. The point of transformation. And it is a humbling moment. It is a moving moment, yes. And it does, my best friend got married in a Jewish ceremony. She and her husband are Jewish. And it was a very, very hot day in Philadelphia in July. And if you're from the northeast of the United States, you know that July in the northeast is extraordinarily humid usually. And it was one of those times for this wedding. And there was a thunderstorm. While we were in the temple and in the synagogue, and they were giving their vows, and it was the moment when the groom in a Jewish wedding the groom smashes a glass. That's tradition. It's sort of represents the smashing of the temple and lots of other symbolic moments in Jewish history. And it was the moment when the groom smashed the glass, and it was like this enormous crash of thunder. And it was like,
that's so fantastic.
God is here. What's going on? But it was like, it was funny.
Yes, it's hilarious. And if we don't name it, it will get missed. If everyone in that room didn't comment on it, oh my gosh, God is here. I love it when nature collaborates with love, or whatever someone says, no one will be able to concentrate. Be like, there was a thunder. Why was it thunder? Why was it thunder? But if someone says it, and we all have a release about it, and we can clear our hearts and minds and keep going, it's wonderfully funny.
Yeah. So now, wow. So how did you start? Like, how did this become about? Like, how?
The House of Holy Humor, being an interfaith minister, being
all of it. Like, all of it. Share with the viewers. Okay. They want to know.
So I took my first clown class after already being a student of theater improvisation. So improvisational theater and clown theater have a lot in common, but not everything. And the time when I was studying them both at the same time, I'd get on stage and be like, what? Because there's just a different approach to the audience that goes with them both. I became an interfaith minister probably 20 years later. 10 years later, I became an interfaith minister because two friends of mine had asked me to officiate their weddings. And I thought, oh my gosh, what an incredible honor. Of course I'll do that. Why would I say no? I have no idea why you're asking me that, but no problem. And then when I actually did the wedding, I understood why they'd asked me. I love community. I love bringing people together. I love representing a journey. I love including both laughter and tears because that's real. If we only have one and not the other, then that doesn't account for the journey where one becomes the other and the other becomes one. It's vital to represent life that way. And then I had traveled from one side of the US to the other to kind of begin a new chapter. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I thought, oh, I loved being a wedding officiant. I just never did anything with it. So I became an internet minister. I became ordained kind of for the day, the way people have friends marry them for the day.
In the kind of universal church of the internet.
Like the universal.
Like the internet has bestowed spirituality upon you. I see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Zeros and ones. We're so elemental. And then I started doing costume weddings. I started doing helicopter weddings. Same-sex marriage passed in New York State, and I started doing super creative weddings for couples who'd wanted to get married for 30 and 40 years, and they needed to express themselves in a genuine way. So some people express their tradition, some people express their creativity. The whole spectrum is equal. My people were on the super creative side, and I was willing to do whatever that meant, whether it's marry people as Elvis, marry people as Glinda the Good Witch of the North, marry people at 6 a.m. in the snow in Central Park, whatever people needed to do, because I'm a person for whom self-expression and creativity equals love. And so I understood them. And at that point, this was actually right before the same-sex marriage passed in New York, which was such a glorious time. It felt like right place, right time, right reason. I thought, if I don't bring some gravitas to this situation, people are not going to take me seriously. And I'm a very serious artist. I'm about deep healing. I just do it through humorous measures because it's faster. And some things are so intense that only humor is strong enough to hold the moment. So I went to interfaith seminary to become an interfaith minister, so that people would be like, oh yeah, she does costume weddings. Oh yeah, but she's really an actual clergy person, but she's not a member of a faith, but we're going to handle that. You know, there's a lot of category creating, and there's a lot of space defining, and I'm okay with that. So at the point where they come together, whatever I'm doing, I turn it into art. So here I am performing legal weddings as Jester of the Peace, which was given to me by a friend as a name, which I kept, which also applies to me as an artist, because what I'm ultimately doing is using humor to create for humanitarian aims. I started marrying people to themselves in the street. marrying people to themselves in the street, marrying people to friends, marrying people to places, to things. People have married their creativity, they've married their sexuality, they've married money, they've married the town of East Hampton, they've married thinly sliced Nova, they've married like their dog, just to honor the unappreciated commitments that we all have. So I had a car, I made it into an art car. I do weddings, I make them into art weddings in the street, whatever that is. I just can't help myself but turn it all into art, because that's art, love, and humor in my spiritual practices. And so that's going to ultimately lead to the merging of spirituality and art as an organized life purpose. And that is what has happened. The House of Holy Humor is the umbrella under which all of it makes sense.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Barbara Ann Michaels has been appearing on the BU channel of Inspiring and Interesting Women. Because what an amazing journey, and what an amazing purpose in life and mission in life, to create world peace using humour and marriage. That's all we've got time for today, but I will say this. Go on, say the last thing. Quickly.
In the humorous arts, there's always more.
And she will be back, don't worry. Part 2 is coming, because I want to know more. And you can find out more about Barbara Ann Michaels at her amazing website, www.jesterofthepeace.com. It's in the description under the video. Okay? Have a good day. Bye.